Hey folks, welcome back to another Paul Masses video, and today we're gonna do as usual we do at every start of the month, evaluate sort of all the new info that we've gotten and see where they could potentially be at, right? Just a first impression look at some of the new units, and at the end of the month, as usual, we'll come back and see, you know, how they do stack up against some other units in the game, right? So this month we have well, quite a decent amount of units, right? Obviously anniversary being a big thing, and some very good units, I'd say. I'd argue that this anniversary. So anyways, let's start this out then. Probably let's go from the bottom to the top. How many do we even have here? 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Yeah, 10. Anyways, at the bottom, I would argue this potentially rumored hypothetical grid expansion for Wolfric is probably at the bottom here. If you look at the rumored, you know, may or may not existing grid for Wolfric, it really doesn't solve too many issues, right? The rumored aggravation on Ice Fang and, you know, extra freeze chance on Ice Fang really doesn't help that much, since like, it's nice, but it's like you can only freeze / flinch the opponent, like, you know, you can't do both at the same time. You could either freeze them or flinch them, right? Not both. So that is slightly wasted, and Wolfric just straight up does not get that much damage, right? I would have hoped it would have been something like a really solid sync nuke instead of whatever this is. Right? So yeah, this is just not a very nice, I guess, set of things that they potentially may or may not give Wolfric, right? So yeah, that's I guess the first one. Well, first from the bottom, I guess, which is still the first. So congratulations, Wolfric. Moving on, I'd say this potential rumored hypothetical EX for Clement would probably maybe be in contention for the next one. The thing with Clement is he doesn't really get anything from the EX, so it's basically just Clement, right? Because Clement is not really that much of a nuker, right? Because you don't really have too much stuff in terms of, like, you literally do not have any, like, you know, huge like upsides, right? From getting that, like 6RX. Like, yeah, you have Cakewalk and you have, you know, this other one, but like, thing is, how are you really going to run this though, right? Because if you think about team comps, right, if you're trying to go sync nuke Clement, you need, first of all, Electro Train setter, right? Someone who sets Electro Train, and that setter can't be New Year's Vulcaner, because you can't get the sync in with the New Year's Vulcaner before the train goes away. It has to be either regular Vulcaner or classic Lisa. Neither of them are great damage dealers, right? And then on the other hand, you need someone to max out Clement's you know, offensive stats, right? Crit, special attack, all that stuff. And then Clement himself doesn't deal that great damage with Parabolic Charge and either that or Electro Web, right? So like, you just have a team with no one doing damage outside of that every 3 turns you get a sync in. So the EX doesn't really help them that much, even though, again, you do have something like a Cakewalk, the Innate, Electro Train, your special attack's okay, I guess, for a unit this old, or at this stage, right? The other utility stuff is nice, but there's just better units that do it at the moment, right? Like, for example, like speed debuffing, like straight up, the Palatine Serena is just better, much better, right? And then the other stuff, you know, Parabolic Charge as like a tank to keep yourself alive. Xerneas is much better, right? All that stuff. So the Mud Slap debuffing accuracy, that's cool, I guess, but you're really gonna use a whole team slot for this, right? Probably not, right? So that's probably Clement. Moving on, I'd say next one probably could be this potentially rumored Clement EX, right? Clement actually does have a pretty decent sync, right, in comparison. Well, actually, again, Clement's sync is like terrible, but he does have a bit of a decent sync for one. Do have paralysis synergy over here, and you know, obviously the Tekken 8, you have Psychic Terrain, very similar to not paralysis synergy. Where do we look? Where's the there it is. Oh no, Fuzzy Strike. Fuzzy Strike, that's the one, right? Fuzzy Strike over here, which is not as much as a Cakewalk, obviously, but it's just that Clement is just it's just a better utility unit than Clement, right? Because both their sync nukes are fine, but nothing crazy, and both their damage is also not very usable either, right? It's just that I personally feel like Calem's utility stuff is a bit better, right? Stuff like X Speed, Pep Rally is very nice. You could take a few hits with the you know, self-healing as well. Obviously, Clement could also do that. But yeah, Thunder Wave is nice. The chance to confuse with the Psybeam is decent, right? So yeah, I just think Clement's a bit better utility-wise, right? Also the speed buffs, like Calem's a very very fast unit. 450 speed with X speed with Pep Rally. That's very good for team engagers, especially for something like Legendary Gauntlet, right? So anyways, moving on. Next one. It's tough, but I probably would say, I don't know. It's between Ramos, I feel, and Wickstrom. I guess Ramos. The thing with Ramos is this potential rumored, you know, hypothetical grid, right? It's not anything crazy. Like, the defense crush is nice. You get some extra stuff to do when you're not sleep spamming the opponent. First aid is okay, so you stay alive for like an extra turn maybe. What else? Like, the sync nuke stuff is okay, right? Double down, good night, Earth, not anything crazy either, especially since Grassy Terrain's not in the game. And obviously move gauge refresh for sleep powder is very good, so you didn't get that much out of it, right? It's just a sleep spammer, and that's just pretty nice, right? And then Wickstrom, on the other hand, does have a bit more to offer, I feel, right, with this potentially rumored hypothetical grid. You know, just stuff like Inspire Ire for King Shield, you know, just as a you know, secondary tank, right, to draw some aggro and also do some damage if you want to in like Steel Zone with Iron Head, with Iron Head also flinching as well, right? Where's Iron Head? There's Iron Head. So stuff like that is nice, especially since the interesting thing about sword form is you also get whatever, you know, stats you get, you also get that multiplier as well, which is pretty nice, right? So it also works decently well with Palatine's Marnie, you know, with the, again, aggravation stuff, Harry if you want, right, all that stuff. So it's okay, it's something, I guess, right? Moving on, let's see, who else? Oh, this one was from the Datamined. I don't have to say theoretical, rumored, etc. Christmas Seabald, who finally is getting an EX, which is very funny. He's pretty decent, right? Skull could do some solid damage, and now with the 6R EX, his sync nuke is even better. His sync nuke was pretty decent even before the 6R EX, but now obviously he's even better, so that's a pretty you know, solid one, right? All right, moving on to the more interesting ones, which are the actual anniversary units, right? Honestly, the next two are kind of hard to decide between, because both of them are nice, but both of them also do have some issues here and there, right? I don't know. I like them both. But I also don't like them in certain parts of their kit. Who should I go with? I'm gonna go with Ryhon for the next one. Here's the thing about Ryhon. Ryhon is very nice. There's a lot of great things I like about it. For example, the super effective up, right? That you give, like, their super effective up. You give a special physical attack up. There's so many great, you know, multipliers that you could give to your damage dealer, albeit only for one hit, but still that's a, you know, a lot of them, right? Finally, someone could let Sinks of Red get super effective up on one of his moves, since he could never. He was the only you know, non-normal type unit in the game that couldn't get it, right? I mean, normal type units could get it, but they just don't really utilize it, right? So that's cool. Sandstorm is really nice with the extra extension on Sandstorm, right? So that's all good. A downside, obviously, is just this guy cannot do damage by himself, right? He is a bit of an enabler, but the also weird part is, like, it's just very awkward if you're a tech unit, and because generally techs do a lot of things nowadays, right? There's tech units that could, you know, do all the tech stuff, but also do damage, or also, you know, take hits. He doesn't really do any of those very, very well, right? Outside of a nuke, which is pretty good, right? As a nuke, pretty good. You could do some solid damage on your max moves, but your regular move damage is almost, you know, non-existent. It's just Twister and Fire Spin, both of which are, you know, terrible moves damage-wise. But the other thing is, okay, you can't do damage. That's fine, right? It's not, you know, you don't have to do damage to be successful, but you also can't really tank. So when you're team building, you need a damage dealer in there, right? Usually the damage dealer, not a great tank, so you also need a tank on the side that could also support. And then you're just running with one unit that could really do damage on you. But again, he does make up for it, right? He does make up for it with the fact that he could super effective up next, right? And you know, physical and special move up next, right? Again, this is really limited, so it's not gonna be that great in longer stages, but in shorter stages where you just really need like a 5 or 6 hits to eliminate the stage, right? You know, that definitely is nice, right? At least. So yeah, it's just an extra weather unit. You could go with both weathers, right? Whether it's sun or sandstorm, right? Both are nice. The other thing is, if you are running him, because like he does have a pretty decent sync nuke too, but the other thing is, like, yeah, but you're also running him on, if you're trying to maximize his sync nuke damage, it's like you're running him with Lucas, and like, well, wouldn't you just sync with Lucas instead, right? In like most case scenarios. Actually, never mind. I just did a quick fact check. I forgot the fact that he also gets that extra attack, defense, special attack, spread defense, speed increase by 30% in weather. Which actually, if you do have that, he nukes harder than Lucas, right? If you actually have all these up, right? Interference sync, weather sync up, right? All that stuff. That's actually no, never mind. He could nuke harder than Lucas, right? So. Yeah, again, it's very nice unit. It does remind me a bit of Champion Iris, which you guys know me. I'm not a huge fan of Champion Iris's playstyle either, personally. So that's maybe one of the other reasons why I don't have him super high, because yeah, Champion Iris gives you a very good nuke. That's like one every 3 turns, and also again, like even Champion Iris does more damage than this guy, right? Regular move damage wise. You know, kind of the once a battle max moves, right? And even so, Champion Iris still doesn't contribute that much offensively outside of the nukes, right? So I really don't like that aspect about him. But you know, everything else about the kid, a lot of really great things, right? Again, in my opinion, none of these anniversary units are bad at all. Some might be a bit like underwhelming or disappointing, some aspects of them, right? But I'd say overall, they're all like solid units, right? So yeah. Oh, some other things I probably don't really care about is like Twister flinch stuff. I really don't care about. Like, it's nice, but it's like not that, you know, great. Yeah, you also get sun, all that stuff. Yeah, it's a good unit. It's a good unit. I just happen to think the other ones might be a bit better. What are the other ones that are better? Well, that would be maybe Skyla. Here's the thing about Skyla. Skyla has a lot of things that are not very great, right? she has the same issue that Ryhon has, which outside of her sync, which again, her sync is actually pretty good, right? Skyla should be the strongest flying type sync nuke of the game, right? You know, you can nuke around as hard as, let me see, as hard as something like an Annie N, right? Which is pretty good, right? We're seeing some Misty, Renegade Cynthia, etc. But the downside over here is the same with Ryhon. Both of them have good nukes. Ryhon has the max moves that could do some solid damage, right, once every battle. But they just don't do any damage outside of that, right? Both of them are AoE flinchers, which I guess Skyla is a slightly better flincher, just because instead of aggravation, she went with staggering, which is decent, because I'm pretty sure staggering, if you flinch, you know, if you get like a flinch in, it's like, it should like flinch the entire team, which is, I think, a bit better, right? But as for anything else, you do have a guaranteed crit on your sync if you want to pick that up, right? Soften up. Team sharp entry is nice, right? Like, all this stuff is nice, right? But none of these are like crazy good. The only thing that really, in my opinion, would the other great thing is the speed buff for your team. That's definitely very, very good. But a lot of other things are just okay, but like not very great on her. But the one thing that I would have to put her over Ryhon is, even though it's, in my opinion, she is not a great flying zone setter, right? She's not a great flying zone setter because of the fact that, again, it doesn't work well with a lot of the flying type units, right? Such as Annie Stevens, such as, well, the other holiday Skyla, which you can't run because they're both Skylas, right? Although it does work really well with Eviltal, right? She would definitely work very well with Eviltal. But you still have the flying zone. You still have flying zone, right? Even though the rest of your kit, like the rest of her kit could be like terrible. And the rest of her kit is definitely not terrible. I think it's fine, right? But the rest of her kit could be terrible, and she still has flying zone, and that's still a W. That could still be a very, very, you know, nice W. Obviously, if the rest of her kit was absolutely terrible, she would not be, I would not rank her this high, but it would still give her a lot of credibility as a unit, right? Just flying zone is just very, very good. These zones are just all very good, right? Like, even if she's not the perfect partner for Annie Stevens, she's still going to help Annie Stevens, you know, deal much, much more damage, right? So, and it's not just, again, it's not just Annie Stevens, like stuff like Eviltal, Lance, Pidgeot, right, stuff. Just having that is good. Just having that is good. And again, all the other stuff is extra. Like, again, the nice flinch chance is nice. The team speed buffs is good. All that stuff, so... I really don't like this, though. I wish it was just a regular potion, but whatever, I guess. What's this again? Oh, confusion, kind of whatever, don't care. So yeah, that's that, I guess. And then the last two, next one I'd say probably Anime. The reason being, Anime is, well, of all the 3 anniversary units over here, she does the most damage for one, which is not like a super high bar because the other does like nothing, but there's a few great things that she does, right? First of all, Psychic Terrain. A lot of people are saying, "Wow, who cares? It's another Psychic Terrain unit." Oh, what? Psychic types is, in my opinion, the strongest type in the game. Strongest type in the game by far, right? And you have another unit to give you Psychic Terrain, which is very, very useful because of the fact that there's so many Psychic Terrain setters, or not Psychic Terrain, people who want to use Psychic Terrain, right? All these fantastic Psychic type damage deals, we just don't have enough Psychic Terrain users. Right? There's only one in the game, which is Bianca. Look at all the other types, right? Sandstorm, you have multiple Sandstorm setting users, multiple Rain setters, right? Multiple Sun setters, and like there's even 2, you know, Electric Terrain setters now, right? Or 3 Electric Terrain setters if you want to count New Year Volcanar, right? But like Psychic Terrain just literally only had one this whole time, and now we finally have another one. And again, Psychic just is very, very busted. But even outside of that, you know, herself as a unit, right, she's still very, very powerful, right? Her sync nuke is very, very good, right? It's up there with some of the you know, best, right? Like, let me see, she could nuke as hard as stuff like Marnie. We all know how, you know, powerful sync nuker Marnie is. Stuff like Dark Zone Sydney, right? Stuff like I don't know, Nessa, right? There's a really, really great sync nuke. She does again, very, very nice sync nuke. X special attack all for your team as a tech unit. That is very, very, very nice, right? That is definitely very nice. Got move gauge acceleration as well, right? You're basically self-sufficient. You can max out your own crit. You could max out your own special attack if you get the NPR, right? And then you have this ball that has a great chance of lowering the opponent's special attack. And then, you know, when you look at the passives, right? Before you mega, you have on a roll, which guaranteed debuffs the opponent's special attack every time you use it. Which again does activate a lot of her own multipliers, which is really, really nice. And the biggest thing in my opinion on her kit, you get free moves in Psychic Terrain. You get free moves in Psychic Terrain. You don't cost a bit of move gauge when you're in Psychic Terrain, right? That's really, really nice, considering again, a lot of these Psychic type units do have pretty high gauge costs, right? The big ones, right? Lear, Singsu, Luzamine, right? All 4 gauge move users. So if you're running, you know, Latias over there, you straight up save gauges. And if you want to pick up like an extra move gauge refresh, you get gauges back by using moves, right? So this is just huge, right? This is just really, really huge. And she also has that huge future potential. Not that we're, you know, accounting for that at the moment, but the future potential with running her and Latios on the same team. If you guys haven't seen my video on Latios, go check it out. It's a very, very interesting video, or theory, I guess. But yeah, she's very, very powerful. She has again a lot of these multipliers that she get, catalyst, even more move gauge acceleration, right, on your sync if you want to do that. She's just a move gauge monster for your team, right? Move gauge monster on top of herself doing really respectable damage, being a very good sync nuker if you need her to be, right? Yeah, it's just I just wish, because again, none of these units are perfect, right? All 3 of them are good, but they definitely do have issues. My issue with Mei is mostly at the moment you don't have that great of a unit to help set up the Brain Teaser Smarty Pants stuff, and you also Latios herself. It would have been really, really nice if Latios was a much better tank. Although she can be a decent tank, just for the fact that you debuff the opponent's special attack, and also you do have defense, special defense buffs on your training move. But it's not gonna be anything crazy with these stats, right? But it would have been really, really, really nice. I guess it's a bit better after you mega, like 199 special defense. But yeah, it would have been really, really. It would have been huge if she was also a tank, right? And number 1 obviously is the rumored hypothetical potential. You know, wouldn't that be nice if they released an Annie, Serena, and Zygarde? Just saying from a rumored perspective. Reason being, if you look at the hypothetical kit that she has, right, it looks very uninteresting. If you you know, at first glance you're like, okay, what is this? Like, who cares? Another AoE damage dealer. Nothing super interesting. It's just big 4 gauge moves. Like, cool, it self-sufficient, but like, okay, so what? Here's what. here's the what part of the so what. She is probably one of the best damage dealers in the game, right? I definitely put her up there with Singsu Luzamine, right? I definitely put her up there with Singsu Luzamine. She does more single target damage than any unit in the game when you're considering like 1 turn only, right? So if you're not considering the 2-turn Metal Burst from Grimsley, you know, Grimsley Marnie Metal Burst 2-turn thing, right? If you don't consider that, actually, Grimsley might still do more on 1 turn base. Let me quickly check. All right, never mind. Grimsley still does more. All right, so she's the second, I guess, on a 1-turn basis. You know, regular move damage dealer. right? Outside of again, Steel Zone, Marnie, Grimsley, Grimsley, right? Lone Grimsley. But also, you know, Metal Burst, you generally just use it once per battle, and she could just spam her moves, right? So I guess that's another point for her, right? Like straight up, like she does more than Leon. Leon should be the previous, right? There's Leon, Anniversary Lily. Let's see, what are some? Yeah, Leon, Anniversary Lily, Lance. She does more damage than all those units, right? Even Singsu Luzmin. Single, if you're just accounting for single target damage wise, right? If you're just accounting for single target damage wise, she does more single target damage than Singsu Luzmin. Obviously, if you look at AoE, unfortunately, she does have split damage. So when you're looking at AoE damage, and Luzmin doesn't have any of the AoE damage drops, obviously Luzmin destroys her in that category, right? As she destroys like every unit in the game in that category. But she has, again, some of the highest single target damage in the game, on top of some of the highest AoE damage in the game. Again, Luzmin still does more, but like if you compare it to like a lot of the other AoE damage dealers, right? More than Groudon, Kyogre, what are some others? Annie N. She does so much more than Annie N. I think she might do like, let me check, let me compare real quick. She does like 80% more AoE damage than Annie N, and Annie N doesn't have any of the you know, split AoE split damage drop off. She, with the split damage drop off, right, still does more damage than Annie N, right? Yeah, it's like what, 80 something percent more if you compare Annie N and Serena's like single target damage. If you compare their AoE damage, she still does more than Annie N. That is Core Enforcer though, her Dragon type, you know, move. However, if you do look at like her ground type damage, right, which is what is it, 1,000 waves, right? Groudon still does more AoE wise, or just, I guess, well, either AoE or single target. Groudon still does more, but she is kind of close, right? She's pretty close to Groudon, right? If you want to look at ground type damage. She's, you know, definitely better than something like Cynthia or whatever, right? So, yeah, I definitely think she's, assuming these rumors, right? She definitely could be, you know, the best unit of this update. Again, nothing special, nothing fancy, just a straight up, just brutal damage dealer, right? I think, again, hypothetically, this hypothetical unit would be the best damage dealer we've had in the game since Singsu Luzmin, right? And that's quite a statement, I'd say. Also, her you know, hypothetically, her sync is also very good for a striker. Should have the highest sync move damage for a striker, right? And it's even as high as like some like tech, like some really decent tech nukers, right? She could do, yeah, she can nuke as hard as something like you know, Folly Sorola or Palantine Serena or regular Serena, right? Summer Marnie, right? That's like, she's in that range. And again, it's a striker nuke, right? So you do have the AoE option, right? Yeah, even higher than Singsu Luzmin. Not like that much higher than Singsu Luzmin, that they're still in the same like million range. They're both 3 million or so sync nukers, right? But still, that is very impressive, right? That is very nice. So yeah, she's definitely, I think, hypothetically, assuming all this stuff, you know, would be the best unit of this Annie. She's definitely would be a worthy unit to be a main anniversary unit. She is genuinely nuts, right? She's genuinely nuts, and like just some of this like stuff is just straight up like honestly hacking. Like, you go from base Zygarde to complete Zygarde, and like, unlike all the other megas, your base power for your sync is still, you know, doesn't decrease, right? Like all the megas, and then you have a stat boost across the board. Unlike megas, which only boost like 2 or 3 of the stats, she basically got the Ultra Necrozma treatment Ultra Necrozma also has this, right? So yeah, she's nuts. She's nuts. I mean, I don't have too much else to say. She's unbelievable. What can you do? So yeah, I don't think anyone is close, honestly. Yeah. Anyways, that's me this one, I guess. Hope y'all enjoyed. Guys, think in the comments down below. Like, share this video, subscribe to my channel for some more comments. Obviously, this is only my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Right, which ones y'all like? Again, respectfully, hopefully. Right. So have fun, folks, and I'll see you guys in the next one then.